Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my estranged sister and her husband stay in mine and my husband's vacation home? Before we got married, my husband used to live in a nice little house that he kept and added my name to the deed, and we use it as a vacation home now. We only use it 2 or 3 times a year, and so we do sometimes let friends or family stay there for a few days or a week if they want to get away. This has never been a problem for us, but now we were asked to let my estranged sister and her husband stay, and I said no. My husband is in 100% agreement with me on that. My sister and her husband are at this present time homeless. They were renting for several years and in the same place for a long time, but got kicked out due to issues with their landlord, and they're in desperate need of a place to stay until they can find a more permanent place. Background: my sister and I were very close growing up. My best friend for my entire childhood was a guy, the guy who is now married to my sister, for those who can probably guess. I always had a huge crush on him, and honestly, I was in love with him by the time we were 20. My sister also had a guy she liked, but not super well. When I was 20, we were all at a party, and the guy my sister liked flirted with me. My sister was pissed, even though I didn't flirt back and told him I wasn't interested. She told me we don't do anything with guys the other liked. I agreed. I never would have done that to her anyway. A year or 2 later, my relationship with my best friend changed. He was flirting with me, and I was flirting back. He was more physically affectionate, and he started kissing me, and it felt like we were slowly becoming more than best friends. Things were progressing like that, and then suddenly I discovered that him and my sister were a couple and had started sleeping together. He told me he wanted to keep his options open, and my sister told me she really liked him and she wanted me to understand. I called her a hypocrite for doing that when she turned on me for the guy she had liked flirting with me after I turned him down, and then promising and making me promise we'd never do this to each other. She told me it was different. I told her I would never trust her or look at her the same way again. They told me I didn't own him. I told him he was fucked up for leading me on when he wanted my sister. Our family took my side afterward, especially my other 2 siblings. I haven't seen or spoken to my sister or her husband since. It's our parents who helped set up the request for a place to stay, and they were disappointed when I said no. My other sister and brother are firmly on my side, and they were disgusted my sister and her husband would even dare ask me. My sister said at least I get to live out my dream because I'm married with kids and she can't have any, and the least I can do is put aside petty childhood drama to help them not be homeless. My sister and her husband called me a bitch for refusing, and even my parents said I was going too far with the estrangement by refusing to help. Am I the a-hole?
Not the a-hole, but are you concerned that they might go to your cabin anyway? I would make sure to secure the property and locks.
Not too worried because we had the locks changed recently so nobody else could let them in.
The whole backstory with your sister is actually irrelevant. Even if you had an amazing relationship with her, you wouldn't be the a-hole for refusing this request, and here's why. They won't be homeless. They'll move in with your parents or friends or whatever. They'll be uncomfortable and cramped, but that will motivate them to get back on their feet and get their own place. Even a tiny shitty apartment is better than a room in someone's house or a couch. If they move into a nice, beautiful, empty vacation home, they will never leave. Any place they'd be able to get on their own will be much worse than the house they're borrowing, so they'll have absolutely zero motivation to save up and move out, and a lot of motivation to make sure they always have an excuse why they have to stay. They'll be dependents, mooching off family forever, and you'd be their enabler. By refusing to enable their financial irresponsibility and house them for the rest of their lives, which is what's actually being demanded here, you're giving them the motivation to become functional adults. You're not the a-hole no matter how you feel about your sister.
You owe your sister a big thanks. She got the guy and is now homeless. You got a runner-up and he gave you a holiday house.
Not the a-hole. If your parents think your sister needs help so desperately, then why don't they help her? You have no obligation to help her. If you budge, prepare for spending years trying to evict them and then having to redo the whole house, because they will definitely be horrible tenants. So please don't budge, please.
These people do not care about you at all. Your ex-friend used you when he wanted and abused you when you complained. Your sister is hypocritical and selfish. Now they want something from you, and you're supposed to give them anything and everything? No, sorry, it doesn't work like that. If you treat people like shit, you get nothing from them ever again. Not the a-hole.
Am I the a-hole for not paying my husband back for our daughter's purchase? I'm not necessarily a stay-at-home mom, but I do have our daughter every day while I watch 2 other children. They are all 4, so I still make money and pay half the bills. I was in the room with my daughter while she was playing a video game. I was folding laundry. I was paying more attention to my laundry, and my daughter went to the home screen and selected currency to purchase in a game. This was a $50 purchase. My husband's card is connected, so he was charged. He gets the notification instantly that his card was charged and comes in the room asking what happened. I didn't know since I didn't see, and he explained the charge on his card and realized she made the purchase. He said it's fine, I'll just have to pay him back. I asked why, since it's also his child, and he agreed to let her play and he didn't put PIN protection on so that this wouldn't happen. He said, "You were the one watching her." I don't think I should have to pay him back for this incident since it was an accident, and she's 4, and I wouldn't expect him to pay me back either if the roles were reversed. He's still expecting payment back though. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay him back?
Not the a-hole. You and your partner should have locked down inappropriate websites, linked payments, the ability to make phone calls, etc. as soon as you gave any of your kids access to smart devices. There are tons of social media and news stories about kids ordering stuff accidentally. This is not a new phenomenon. In this case, it's your partner's device, so this one's mostly on him. Possible, Tiny, you are the a-hole BC you didn't verify with him before giving your kid the device.
Just to mention, he did approve her playing on it first.
Well then, this one's totally on him. He knew the card was linked, and we all know how fast those little kid fingers are on smart devices. He can chalk this one up to a learning experience. Blaming you or holding you responsible is not okay, though. You were generally watching the kids in the sense that you could see if they were on fire or playing with knives or something and doing household stuff, not peering over their shoulders at the screen every second. Nobody does that, at least I didn't.
Call the card company and dispute the charge. You'll probably be refunded, so it doesn't matter. Huge red flag though. It's a bad husband red flag and a bad parent red flag.
This, thank you, the second I read it I told him, and he said as long as he gets it back, everything's fine. He's putting in the claim now, thank you.
Do not file a chargeback unless you want banned by Apple or Android. Just request a refund through them.
What the shit? Not the a-hole. You are partners, both in marriage and parenting. Does he also expect you to pay to replace all the things your kid breaks or eats or uses on your watch? Should you both start keeping a tally of how much you invest in your child? That sounds super duper healthy. Sarcasm.
Update. He contacted the company and was able to get a refund since she didn't use the currency and he put a pin on it. I'd also like to say, despite this interaction, we don't generally argue about finances. We both like the way we have it set up. It's worked for us for half a decade. We do split the bills of the house, but he also has a car payment for his vehicle that will be mine once it's paid off that I won't have to spend a dime on, and he'll get his next vehicle. He also pays for most of our vacations or trips out of town and when we go out to eat, etc. If he wants to make a large purchase, over $300, he talks to me about it first. He's also a great dad and provider. He does a minimum of 50% of the house chores, but honestly usually more since he has OCD, and he does most of the cooking and meal planning. I'm not sure if an issue like this will come up again either since we have added pins to the device.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.